back to X's and O's with Andrew. Today we've got another interview coming your way. It's Alex Devine, the Assistant Director of Player Development at the University of Miami. Check it out. Hey, we are going to be interviewing Coach Alex Devine, one of the assistant football coaches at Miami. So I'm excited to do this interview. Can you give us kind of a brief intro about yourself?
Yeah, sure. And thank you for having me, Andrew. I, love the opportunity to share with you and get to talk a little bit about my life and my past and, where I'm at now. Let's see, I guess an intro about myself. I'm a man that is from a small town in the state of Mississippi. Grew up loving sports, loving the outdoors, always hunting, fishing, things like that. Sports, like I just said, played a huge role in my life. Definitely baseball when I was younger. I guess baseball was my first love, kind of like every young boy's first love in sports is always baseball, in my opinion. Obviously football followed that. I went to junior high and high school and college, got those years behind me, and somewhere along the road in college, I kind of felt God calling me to pursue being a football coach. So I could influence people in my life for the good. I remember one day I was driving to college, and I was just honestly, I was just thinking to myself how much I love football. I was thinking about a football game that, maybe it happened the day before, and maybe my team, I can't even remember, won or lost, whatever happened. And I just felt the Lord telling me, Alex, this is what I want you to do. And this is how I want you to influence people that you work with, and, kids that you work with and the players that you have. This is the light that I want you to be to them. So, and use that media outlet, that platform to do that. So anyways, that's kind of a little bit about me and why I do what I do and why I'm pursuing the career that I'm running after.
Yeah, that is awesome. Where did you grow up?
Okay, like I said earlier, small town in Mississippi. Vaden, Mississippi is the name of the town. The only people that have heard of Vaden, Mississippi are the people that have lived there. And, there's not a lot of people, not a lot of cars and, traffic, and definitely not a lot of bright lights, but it's definitely one of the, traditional Southern town where everybody knows everybody kind of deal. That's where I grew up. Like I said, grew up on a farm, forgot to mention this, and kind of as a side business. My dad and granddad had a cattle ranch. So grew up playing with cows and, running a cow-calf operation. So that's something I take pride in, something that, I think I know a little bit about. But yeah, just small town, Southern boy. Yeah, that's where I was. That's where I grew up. That's where I'm from.
When did you start playing football?
So I started playing football, I guess, in the fourth grade, I believe. The Pee Wee team trying to remember, we were the red team. We were the Pee Wee fourth grade team for Winona Rec League. And that was my first experience playing organized football. I remember we were a very bad team. I don't think we won a game. Can't remember how close we came to winning one, but I know that we did not win a game. So anyways, I got a good dose of learning how to swallow your pride and becoming a good loser in that first year.
And what position did you play when you played football?
So I played offensive line and more specifically center on the offensive line. That especially back in those days when you're in elementary school, it's kind of and it's still true when you grow up and you're in high school or college. The little chubby kids are the ones that are sent to the offensive and defensive line, and the best kid always plays quarterback, and all the skinny kids play everything else. So, from day one, it was me playing offensive line. And I remember when I got into 7th or 8th grade, I believe, I think it was 7th grade, uh, one of our football coaches tried to make me play guard on the offensive line. I said, hold on a second, coach. I'm not a guard. I'm the center. So I took a lot of pride in that. That was really the only position I played, in my whole playing career was offensive center.
Where did you go to college?
So I went to college at Mississippi Delta Community College for my first 2 years of college. Went on a football scholarship there, played football for 2 years, was a part of the team. Didn't have a lot of success there, winning games. We won one game our last year, and so we played 9 games. So we went 1-18. And let me tell you, that one game, it was actually the last game of my sophomore year. So the last game of my playing career, we won, and we had a good time. Like that was so exciting. Finally got a win for the guys that I went there with. My coaches. That was a real big deal, winning that one game. And so to piggyback after that, after I got done playing there at Mississippi Delta, I went to finish my undergrad at Mississippi State. That was 2013 and 2014 for my 2 years at Mississippi State as an undergrad college student. So yeah. Stuck it out.
What was your major in college? What was that?
So my major was kinesiology. I earned a bachelor's degree in kinesiology with a emphasis on sports studies and sport administration.
So, what was your role with the Mississippi State football team?
So when I was at Mississippi State, I was a student assistant, undergrad student assistant. And what that was basically a volunteer for the coaching staff.
Okay. Yeah.
Whatever the coaches needed, whether that was, filling up a coffee pot or running and grabbing lunch, something like that. That's what I did there. But it was really a great experience because it was my first experience of actually being around a college football staff, getting to see how things are run inside a building, the day-to-day operations of, what goes on throughout the year, no matter what season you're in, whether you're in season or it's the off season or it's summertime or recruiting. It was really eye-opening to me. And what I gained from that was seeing all of that, how that business works firsthand, and really just gaining experience in my mind from that. But yeah, student assistant, defensive student assistant for 2 years.
So, what was the most memorable game while you were a student at Mississippi State that you remember?
Okay. Let's see here. There's a lot of great football games at Mississippi State. Let's see. Okay, but my favorite and most memorable game would actually have to be in 2013, which I left this part out. This year, I was not a student assistant. I was actually a student athletic trainer. That's how I credit that to how I got my foot in the door into college coaching. I became a student athletic trainer at Mississippi State for my junior year of college. Sorry to bounce back and forth on you. But my most memorable game happened that year when I was a student athletic trainer, and it has to be the 2013 Egg Bowl, where Mississippi State came back. We tied the game to force it into overtime, and then the Ole Miss quarterback fumbled in the end zone, and we jumped on it to seal the win. I remember that like it was yesterday. And I know the year after that, in 2014, Mississippi State, we were ranked number one in the country, won a lot of big games, over Texas A&M and Auburn, just to name two of them. But for me, growing up a Bulldog, growing up in the state of Mississippi, for that, and that night was really, in my opinion, the most electric that I've seen that stadium. Over your in-state rival, it was great. That has to be my favorite, most memorable football game.
Yeah, there's nothing better than winning the Egg Bowl. Like last year was crazy what happened in that Egg Bowl.
There's nothing better than getting a win over your rival. There's nothing better
awesome.
than that. That's true. No win is sweeter, especially an in-state rival. The hatred that fans have for each other, and there's nothing like it.
How did you get to Miami, and what is your position there?
So my position that I hold now is assistant director of player development, is what it's called. I ended up in Miami, so I have to go back to Mississippi State in the year 2015. The defensive coordinator was Coach Manny Diaz, who is now the head coach at the University of Miami. And like I said, in 2015, I was a student assistant, just helping him out, helping his two graduate assistants that he had brought from Louisiana Tech and Texas, his two previous stops before he came back to Mississippi State. Those were the three guys that I really got close to there at Mississippi State. I remember Coach Jonathan Packey and Coach Ephraim Banda are their names. And they did a good job of bringing me under their wing and, teaching me my first things I needed to know how to do to make it in this business of college football. They gave me responsibility. I think that I did a good job for them, worked really hard. So when at the end of the 2015 season, Coach Diaz went to the University of Miami to be the defensive coordinator in 2016. Coach Packey and Coach Banda followed Coach Diaz to Miami. And a few months after they got here to Miami, they called me and asked me, would I have any interest in being a defensive graduate assistant at the University of Miami? And of course I said yes. And so I guess technically the rest is history from there, if you will. That's how I ended up in Miami. I was a graduate assistant for 3 seasons and then stepped into my role now. And like I said, that's how I ended up in Miami, and forever grateful for those 3 guys for letting me come down here.
What do you like most about your job?
That's a good question, Andrew. And to be honest, I could sit here and tell you football, just because every football coach obviously loves the game of football. That's really the basis of why you do what you do. But that's not the real reason for me personally. The reason that I love my job is because of the people that I work with. Not only the people that I work with, but the people that I work for and my players that I get to work with every day and be around. That's really the reason that I love my job, and the most important thing to me when it comes to picking a job. I had a coach tell me one time, don't make decisions based off of anything else than people decisions, or make people decisions the number one priority when it comes to you making a decision in your life. I work with a group of guys here that, quite honestly, everybody loves everybody. We're all very close-knit staff. Everybody can joke around with everybody. Nobody fights, if you will. There's not a whole bunch of disagreement because we're all kind of on the same page. And I think that's the most important thing. That's what I enjoy about this job the most. You get that when you have a group of guys, whether it's players or coaching staff, when you have a group of people who all have the same goal in mind, when you can reach that point where everybody wants the same thing, for themselves and for their team, that's when you reach this point that I'm talking about of, coherentness between the staff. Um, so that's the number one thing that I like about my job is the people that I'm with, the people that I work for, and the people that I get to coach.
Yeah. Who are some famous players that you've gotten to meet?
There is, well, from being at the U, there's quite a long list of famous guys that I've met. It's to name a few. I'd start with the defensive line: Warren Sapp, Vince Wilfork, Calais Campbell. One thing that we do every summer, our big camp in Miami is a Paradise Camp where we have all of the high school age kids come and basically play football, right? And we bring these ex-players back to Miami to really be the coaches, because it means a lot more to a high school kid for Vince Wilfork to coach him on the defensive line than it does anybody else, right? That's cool. That's what everybody wants, right? So we bring all these guys back, the guys that can make it, that don't have any obligations. And that's really where I got to meet these guys. Ray Lewis, Michael Irvin, Ed Reed, Mike Rumpf is a good one. He was Mike Rumpf, actually, I work with every day. He's a great guy. He's our cornerbacks coach here in Miami. He was a 2002 draft pick, first rounder, national champion. Awesome guy, great heart. That's kind of my list of, and I could, if I dug deeper and really thought about it more, I could probably pull a couple more names out of my hat, or I could, obviously, I could pull a lot more, honestly. There were so many great players here. But those are the few that stick out to me, right off the top of my head.
Is the turnover chain heavy?
Turnover chain is really heavy. Don't ask me how heavy, because I don't know. I don't think we've ever weighed it, but I promise you, if you pick it up, and especially when you put it around your neck, like it's gonna surprise you. It's it's not a little bitty necklace. It's a big old thing, man. It's very heavy. I don't know, 5, 6, 7 pounds probably. It's pretty cool though.
What do you like most about living in Miami?
What I like most about living in Miami? Let's see. I guess to answer that question, there's something for everybody in Miami. Miami is a real diverse city of all different types of people from all different walks of life. There's something for everybody. Now, obviously, some parts of Miami or Miami itself, South Beach, downtown Miami, Brickell, that's the big city part of Miami. So if you like that, if you want that, big sky-rise buildings, that's there for you. There's also the suburbs of Miami are really quiet to some degree, beautiful places. So you can live in the Miami metro area, but not live in the city, if that makes sense. For a, Southern gentleman like myself, there's stuff for us to do out here, if you will. You can drive 20 minutes and you're in the Everglades, and, you can go bass fishing, or you can get in a little kayak and roll around the waters. Obviously, the beach is a huge thing down here. I'm a big beach guy now. I finally worked off my farmer's tan from being from the South, and I'm not going to take my shirt off, but you're just going to have to trust me. I got a pretty good tan going these days. I've gotten into golf, so that's it. But and I know I'm starting to ramble here, but to kind of sum that all up, it's definitely that there's a little bit for everybody down here. Good food. Doesn't really matter where you come from. If you chose to live in this city, there's something that you can find your niche here. There's something for you, no matter where you're from.
Who are some of your mentors?
Okay. My mentors, I guess starting off would have to be the head coach that I work for right now, Coach Manny Diaz. Um, I've been lucky and to be around him for going on 6 years now. And, he's a very smart man, knows the game of football, knows the X's and O's really well, knows how to run a program, in my opinion. Just the the level of thinking that goes on in that man's head is just crazy, and he teaches me something new every day. Um, him and these two other guys are really my best friends as mentors in the business. It's Jonathan Packey, who's our special teams coordinator at Miami, and Ephraim Banda, who is our I've mentioned these guys earlier, but Coach Banda is the co-defensive coordinator and safeties coach at the University of Miami. Those were the two guys at Mississippi State who, like I said, took me under their wing and really taught me how to be a graduate assistant. Um, I guess another big mentor for me in the coaching profession is these two guys that I actually worked for when I was a graduate assistant, which is Craig Kulagowski. He's an outside linebackers coach at Toledo. He used to be the defensive line coach here. I worked with him for 2 seasons in 16 and 17. He left to take the defensive line job at the University of Alabama. And the next year, I worked with our defensive line coach. His name was Jess Simpson. He came from the Atlanta Falcons. He was the assistant D-line coach at the Atlanta Falcons. He was a longtime high school football coach in the state of Georgia, coached at Buford High School, won like 10 or 12 state championships. He's a real high school legend in the state of Georgia. Worked with him, like I said, in 2018, and he really taught me a whole lot about the fundamentals of the position that I was working with him at. Really taught me how to, taught me, football, if you will, X's and O's, how to really teach fundamentals of defensive line play. I guess maybe the last guy I would throw in there, and maybe the most influential guy I've been around is head coach Mark Ritt. He was the head coach here for 16, 17, and 18, and that's an unbelievable man. Like, he taught me every day how to act when you come into work. He was a man that feared God, was very respectful, was a big family man, treated the staff good, let everybody have a voice. Just a great man of God. And a lot of people ask me this: well, is he who he says he, or is he who he says he is? And I can honestly tell them, yeah, one of the best men I ever met in my life. So I guess that would be my mentors.
Who is a coach that has made the biggest impact on your coaching style?
My coaching style would definitely be, in my opinion, a mixture of Coach Diaz and Coach Simpson. Coach Simpson, like I said before, the defensive line coach that I worked with. Those are the two guys that I base my coaching style, if you will, after. Coach Simpson taught me what I needed to know about defensive line. Him and Coach Cool, really, Coach Kulagowski. Coach Diaz has taught me everything I know about defense. So kind of a mixture between those guys.
What is the biggest challenge to you during COVID-19?
Okay. By far, to me, the biggest challenge during this pandemic has been the lack of structure that everybody's had. We went from a time, I guess, early March, where everybody in the country had a schedule. And I'm not talking football here. I'm talking every business, every person, no matter what you do in your life, you had a schedule. And, a set schedule that you live by. And once the pandemic hit, all that was taken away, during the quarantine time and whatnot. So that's been the number one thing that's been the hardest on me, I can say personally, is just the lack of structure. I think I've done a good job of kind of creating a little structure for myself. I know that our football staff has done a good job of creating structure for ourselves as a staff and our players. But yeah, I mean, I think everybody needs a schedule to do the next day. Like if you're just living day to day, not knowing what you're going to do the next day, that's kind of crazy to me. You got to have a set schedule. You got to have something that you're looking, forward to, that you have to get done. For me personally, but yeah, that was the biggest thing. Just kind of life being jacked up.
What do you miss about Mississippi?
Where do I begin? There's a lot of things I miss about Mississippi. Number one would be my family by far. I've been blessed to have a family who is really supportive of what I want to do in my life, my goals and my dreams. Have always supported me, no matter through anything I've been through. My ups and downs in my life and in my career. My family has always been there for me, and that's what I miss the most. Not being with them. Not seeing my dad, mom regularly. Phone calls and FaceTimes are nice, but what I miss the most is just the physical interaction with my family, by far.
What advice would you give a 10-year-old who is interested in coaching football?
Okay. What advice would I give a 10-year-old, that wants to coach football? I would tell a 10-year-old that wants to coach football, I wouldn't tell them anything other, because your specific question, Andrew, was a 10-year-old. I wouldn't give them any advice on how to coach football or what they needed to do to coach football. What I would tell them to do is go play football. Like, you're 10 years old. You don't need to be thinking what's it going to take for you to get into coaching football when you're 10. Now, 9 years down the road, when you're 18, 19, then you can ask me. Then I can give you maybe a better answer. But when you're 10 years old, man, just go play. Whether it's football or baseball, whatever sport you want or whatever you like, whether it's hunting or fishing or whatever, just find something that you love to do and go do that. When you're 10 years old, that's all you need to do. Just have fun. From 10 to 18, those 8 years, man, just have fun. Because there's going to come a time where that's going to change. And I'm not saying the fun's going to change. We tell our players all the time, man, this is a sport. And we tell our players, think about when you were 10 years old. What's the only thing you wanted to do? You wanted to play football. Why? Because it was fun. It was a sport. So right now, my advice to a 10-year-old wanting to be a football coach was just go play football.
All right, let's wrap it up with this very last question. What do you like to do for fun?
I have to say this, football, number one, because that's the most fun thing I can think of is the sport of football. But when I'm not, doing that, I've gotten into golf recently. I still haven't shot under 100, so I'm a pretty bad golfer, but I've gotten into that, like doing that. The beach, I think I mentioned the beach earlier. Fishing is great down here in South Florida, and it's really the ocean fishing, saltwater fishing, and freshwater fish. It's crazy down here. Great freshwater fishing too. Hanging out with my friends that I have down here, whether it's people I work with, who are really my closest friends, or the people that I work with, or somebody else that doesn't work with me. The guys that I know down here are really, really good friends, really encouraging people. So just hanging out, other than that, doing football stuff. That's the most fun.
All right, Coach. Thanks for doing this interview. Good luck to Miami if y'all get to play a little bit of football this year. And go Canes.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Coach, for the interview. I enjoyed it so much. But before the day's over, I have another surprise for you. Come on in. This is my sister, Rainey. Her birthday is Saturday, so it's time for another quiz. It will be how well do I know Rainey. She'll ask me a question about herself, and I'll have to answer it. Let's get started.
Okay, Andrew, what is my favorite color?
That's a tough one because you got purple, you got pink, and you got teal. I'm going teal. Is that correct?
Teal is the correct answer.
I'm proud of myself. All right, question
Okay,
two.
next question is, what is my favorite food?
Favorite food? 'Cause you like chicken, but the thing you like more than chicken is spaghetti.
That's actually wrong. My favorite food's chicken strips.
Ah, come on! All right, let's go to the third question.
What is my favorite sport?
Mississippi State has very good women's basketball teams and softball. So, because their women's basketball team is so good, it's softball.
Andrew, I'll have to say,
That is correct!
yes! Okay, what is my favorite drink? I really think you're going to get this one. Favorite soda.
Okay, I think I know it. Dr. Pepper, cherry vanilla?
That is 100% correct. You got it right.
All right.
Okay,
four
for our
questions
final
now.
question, who is my favorite brother?
Oh, you may not know. Rainey's my only sister, and I have two other brothers. So, in the siblings, it's 3-1. Boys roll, girls drool. Yeah. All right. I'm gonna say me.
Andrew, actually,
It was you. I did not think it was gonna be me. I just guessed.
yeah, I know you didn't.
All right, signing off for now. From X's and O's with Andrew, where sports and sometimes birthday quizzes come to you.